Welcome to this explainer from the Foundry by Forge College. Today, we're jumping right into API error semantics and classification. This is a super important piece of our Advanced Error Handling Strategies module, which, if you're following along, sits right inside the broader API security, authentication, and error handling on Solana track. And of course, that's all part of our wider Web 2 integration and API development course. Look, fixing any complex machine always starts with understanding exactly how it's screaming at you when it breaks. So today, we're going to learn how to translate those screams into deterministic code. So here is our schematic for today's build. We're going to cover everything from shifting our architectural mindset down to the core error taxonomy, determining severity, building our classification table, coding the actual classifier, and finally, setting up smart retries and backoff. All right, part one, from who to what broke. We are officially shifting focus in our API architecture. Now, as we transition away from our last lesson on ENS concepts for contract integration, we kind of need to do a complete mindset reset. If authentication is the system telling us exactly who is submitting the blueprint, today's focus is totally different. We're diagnosing what broke inside the actual machinery. Think about it. When the auth is completely perfect, but your request still just flatlines? Well, the error isn't about identity anymore. It's about network hiccups, node tantrums, or, maybe just a typo in your transaction. We need to stop guessing and start categorizing. Moving to part two, the core error taxonomy. Let's look at the three main failure buckets. Because to fix this machine effectively, we can't just go hitting the console with a hammer, right? We have to classify the breakdown. First up in the taxonomy, we have the client error. I want you to think of this like submitting a blueprint with literally impossible physics. It's like asking a builder to construct a house out of floating water. It is absolutely never going to work until you correct your own math. In Solana terms, your request is invalid. The RPC node isn't broken here, your code is. Next, we've got the transient node error. This one is basically just a worker dropping a wrench on the assembly line. It's annoying for sure, and it halts production for a split second. But you know what? You just wait a moment, they pick the wrench up, and you try again. The node or the network temporarily cannot fulfill the request, but it will recover. Finally, bucket number 3 is the consensus error. And guys, this means the whole factory just lost power. Retrying, totally useless here. You can flick the light switch all you want, but this is a systemic, fundamental issue. Like a cluster split, for example. It requires actual human intervention or a broader network resolution. All right, part 3. Determining error severity. We're tagging errors for deterministic action. Because once we actually know the category of our error, we have to assign it a strict severity level so our app knows exactly how to react. By explicitly tagging these errors, you make all your downstream behaviors deterministic. This stops your app from accidentally making a bad situation worse. So fatal means do not retry under any circumstances. That's your impossible physics blueprint. Retryable means, hey, retry but with a backoff. That's your dropped wrench. And deferred means delay the action and just monitor. That is your factory power outage. Let's dive into part 4, building the classification table. We are mapping our sources directly to severity and handling. Let's draw up the structural, concrete contract between your client code and your operational policy. Right, so here is how the theory actually maps to practice on paper. If you're looking at your logs and you see a negative error code or the word invalid, that's a bad request. We classify that as fatal. You throw a 400-level error and you hard stop. Now, if you get an HTTP 429, well, that's rate limiting. It's definitely retryable, so we back off. And what if you see block hash not found? That is a consensus split. We classify that as deferred. Do not spam the RPC node. You need to escalate it. Part 5, coding the classifier. We are translating this blueprint straight into TypeScript. Let's take that theoretical table we just built and actually wire it up to build a fully automated hygiene layer. The logic flow for this is honestly quite simple. First, you're going to check your HTTP signals. So a 429 immediately maps to a rate limit. Simple enough. Second, you parse the JSON-RPC messages themselves looking for specific keywords like invalid or behind. And third, you flag any embedded runtime rejections in those error fields as fatal program errors. You are literally just matching live signals to the table we just drew. Now listen closely, because this practice right here will save you absolute hours of debugging down the road. You must always log the error category, the error severity, and the raw RPC error payload. We emphasize this so heavily in our Forge College programs for a good reason. When you are doing a postmortem at 2 a.m., you need to know exactly what the machine was screaming right before it broke. Okay, our final section, part 6, smart retries and backoff. This is where we build the suspension system. Let's look at how to handle these retries without completely melting down the RPC node. So you might be wondering, should I just hit retry instantly when things fail? I mean, we've all been there, right? Angrily spamming the refresh button on a broken website. But doing that in your code is literally the engineering equivalent of fixing a broken bridge with duct tape. It doesn't work, and it usually just causes a much bigger collapse. Instead, you need to build a proper suspension system. Step 1, you attempt the API call. Step 2, catch and classify the error using the rules we just laid out. Step 3, if it's fatal, fail fast, just stop. But if it's retryable, you execute an exponential backoff with jitter. That means you wait a little longer after each failed attempt and you add a random bit of jitter time. That way, if you have a ton of failed requests retrying, they don't all hammer the node again at the exact same millisecond. So what's next? In our following lesson within this track, we'll be covering resilient retry and idempotency strategies. We're going to take all these structural classifications we just built and convert them into concrete idempotency keys and failover flows. We'll make sure that even if a request somehow gets sent twice during a chaotic retry storm, the network only ever processes it once. I want to leave you with this thought. Reliable error handling isn't about ignoring failures. It's about treating error messages as signals to build deterministic, resilient machines. True engineering resilience comes from classifying failures correctly right from the start. If you enjoyed this explainer, make sure you visit forge.college to explore a ton more Web3 resources and to continue this track. So here's my question for you. The next time your application crashes, is it going to panic blindly or will it know exactly which tool to grab from the toolbox?